What's going on, everyone? It's Andrew, and today I bring you guys Bates Motel Season 5, Episode 5 review. So there's a lot to talk about this episode, so let's just get right to it. First up, Norman, obviously. So we pick up with Norman waking up, going to the bathroom to vomit, and revealing he's got some scratches on his back, which I thought at first were from him killing someone maybe, but later on in the episode we find out that that's not the truth and there's more to it, but we'll get to that in a couple minutes. So I don't know what's going to happen with Norman. He seems to be losing his marbles more and more as the season progresses. Not being able to see Mother and or hear her has really taken a toll on him, like emotionally, physically, and like mentally. He is so unsteady and unstable, and luckily he met his therapist from last season while he was out looking for his mother, and they sit down and talk, and then he gets Norman to admit again that Norman does see his mother when she really isn't there, and then he also becomes her, which really affected him. And you can see it and look in his eye that he was just questioning every conversation he had with his mother since she's been dead. Another big thing with Norman this episode was that he got a call unexpectedly from the sheriff who wants more information about this Jim Blackwell and Romero connection to Norman, and he agrees to talk to her, and she seems like she knows more than she leads on, and I'm kind of excited to see what's going to happen. I think she's going to uncover the mystery of what Norman is really hiding, but then again, Norman can just kill her before that all happens. So finally, when Norman is out looking for his mother, he goes to some bar and where he thinks her car is, and he starts to realize that everyone there seems to know him, but he doesn't know them. So that kind of freaked him out, and then when he's in the bathroom, this guy tries to kiss him, and it really freaks him out. And this guy acted like he's done it with Norman like recently, and like, hey man, what's going on? And Norman just starts getting all these flashes of that guy or some other guy and Norma hooking up, but we know that Norma's dead and it has to be Norman, which explains the scratches on his back and why he was vomiting this one. I think maybe he drank a little too much, so that he also could be hungover. Okay, enough about Norman. Let's talk about Rihanna, aka Marion. I was so excited to see her finally. It was great. I didn't have too much hope for her acting, but it was good this episode, and I really enjoyed it. I think she did really well. I really enjoy her character, and I'm excited to see how she's going to interact with Norman, because at the end of the episode, we find out that she arrives at the Bates Motel. But let's talk about how she got there. I also love seeing her interact with Sam, and she seems to be way more into Sam than Sam is into her, because we find out that she doesn't even know Sam is married, okay? And also, she seems really miserable, in her life outside of Sam. When we see her at work, she seems like she wants to do something more or be something more and just run away, like she told Sam. She wants to run away and get married. And at the end of the episode, we find out that the $400,000 that her boss gave her, she just took it for herself and wasn't going to deposit it, and called up Sam, who was with Madeline making dinner. And she's all about ready, to just get out and just move away with Sam. And, she tells him to meet him at the Bates Motel, which is how she ends up there. And then scene cuts, and then we're left to wonder what's going to happen. I really hope we get to see her throughout the whole season, and, if she survives that long, if she survives Norman. So speaking of this love triangle, let's head over to Madeline, who I don't think is going to last much longer this season, because I can't see her lasting all season. I can't see her, being happily ever after with anybody, with Sam, obviously, because Sam's cheated on her. And even though she didn't believe it at first when Norman told her, at the end when, Sam got off the phone with Marion, he comes back inside, and she already suspected that he was talking to a woman and asked for her name. That's all I got for her. So finally, we pick back up with Emma and Dylan, who we haven't seen, a couple episodes, maybe since the first episode of the season, but I was really happy to see them back. And they seem to be in a little turmoil, because, not really turmoil, but more in a little argument, because when Dylan finally confesses to Emma everything he knows about Norman, telling her that the earrings she found early in that episode were actually her mother's, not his mother's, and that her mother actually disappeared last season really mysteriously around Norman. And she explained to her all the weird things that happens with Norman, how he killed his father, and all these weird things that keep happening because of Norman, and Norman just seems to protect him. and Emma is like freaked out and just, goes off by herself. So the big thing that happened with Emma this episode is she finally found out that Norma was dead. And, Dylan and Emma both don't know that Norma is dead. They haven't known they haven't talked since 2 years, so of course they wouldn't know. But she's on the computer looking on the Bates Motel and finds an article that explains that Norma had, killed herself, and I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so 3 quick questions I want to ask because of this episode. Number 1, is Sam going to blame Norman for having, Madeline find out that he's cheating on her, or is he just going to not piece it together, or is Madeline going to tell him, like, hey, I just found out about myself? Because, Norman was threatened by Sam. Number 2, I'm sure Emma's going to tell Dylan about, Norma dying. And what are they going to do? Like, are they going to go back to the Bates Motel? Is Dylan going to confront Norman? I mean, they got a baby now, so they both can't go unless they find a babysitter, like Caleb. Oh, wait. Number 3, how much more stress can Norman, take until he finally blows up and starts killing the entire cast? Guess we'll just find out next episode. Alright, that's it for my review. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a like and comment down below, and subscribe if you like all my reviews. Speaking of my reviews, if I can do this right, somewhere over here there'll be a link where you can click to see all my, Bates Motel Season 5 reviews. Thanks. See you guys. So first up, Normo. Normo. And I don't know what's going to happen. Okay? I'm not psychic.